The accident, a Mentally Matter story. So recently, one of my worst fears came true. Having anxiety, I always imagine the worst things happening to myself and those I care about. I have a girlfriend and she is my world, my everything, and often a topic of those images caused by anxiety. And she knows this. I have talked to her about this, but recently, while my parents were away, we spent the time alone at my place, tending to the house. It wasn't the first time we did this, and likely will not be the last. It went perfectly fine as it did previously, and my parents returned home on Wednesday. As my dad would celebrate his birthday on Friday and Sunday, it made sense for my girlfriend to hang around instead of doing a whole back and forth. Well, on Friday I had to work. Nothing unusual. Day went on as normal, we'd write the text on our breaks if we were lucky enough to have them aligned, and otherwise we'd respond to whatever we said. And then came 6 o'clock. Closing time for the store and time for me to go home. I checked my phone and noticed no messages. Nothing too insane, sometimes I don't hear from her until somewhere after dinner, which in this case meant I would just see her when I get home. And so I got on my bike and made my way home, a very simple trip, maybe like 5 minutes max, because I live close to my place of work. And then the day went south and fast. As I was putting my bike in the shed, my dad sees me arriving and comes into the backyard and approaches me. As I grab the case for my off-brand AirPods, so I can put them away, I suddenly notice her scooter not being in the backyard. And then my dad says the last thing I wanted to hear. Don't panic. She had an accident. And right there, I swear the world froze over. The AirPod case falling out of my hand as my brain goes ballistic. Telling me not to panic means there is a good reason to. That means it's bad. But how bad? What happened? Did someone hit her? Did she hit someone else? And so on and on, as every single possibility flashed through my mind in the blink of an eye. From my dad's perspective, I just stood there dumbfounded for a few seconds as I dropped my AirPod case. But from my perspective, I stood there for an eternity. Shaken by the news, I check my phone again. Nothing. I go inside, and as I drop my bag on a chair, my mom mentions I can call my girlfriend's mom for info, which I did immediately. Calling her mom instead of her cannot be a sign of good news. The phone rings and rings again, and then my girlfriend picks up. And as she says hi, I can hear the pain, fear, and sadness, and everything in her voice. And it felt awful. And then she filled me in. It happened close to her home, so her parents could pick her up and tend to her. She was a bit bruised and battered since it wasn't a collision. Instead, her scooter had lost traction and she took a tumble. She was showing a lot of signs of a mild concussion, so they were still taking her to the doctor. They were actually about to get in the car to do so. So I let them do so after telling her to call me at work if something happens next time, because my dad is terrible at breaking the news, which made her chuckle a little. They said they would call me back when they knew more, so all I could do was go eat dinner and wait. And so I did, physically shaking as I sat at the table, barely getting the food down my throat. About halfway through dinner, my phone rang and I picked up and put it on speaker. The doctor said it wasn't a concussion, and that she'd be just fine. She just had to take it easy a few days and then she'd be all good. Huge relief, but we all agreed that doctor was wrong about the concussion, because given the symptoms, there was no way it wasn't. I was offered to come by after dinner to see on her myself, check in, and I could tell that she wanted me to. I gathered up all the stuff she still had laying at mine from being here for 2 weeks as soon as possible after dinner, and ignoring the weight and size of the bag, I stubbornly took it on my back on the bike. Not my brightest moment, but my mind wasn't exactly in a good place given the situation. I bike fast and focused with her well-being the only thing I could think about. And then I got there, parked my bike, opened the door and put the bag down, and then I looked at her sitting there, barely moving, head tilted back, pain in her voice and eyes as she said hi. I sat next to her and just was there for about an hour with some small chatting, clarification, etc. Then she asked me to accompany her to get her to bed safely and prepare to sleep despite it being early, because she hurt and just wanted to sleep it off. I helped her, phone on the shelf by her head in case she needed anything, and went downstairs to chat with her parents a little before going home. The moment she called, I jumped to my feet, and guess what? She needed tissues. Scared me to bits for tissues. But I understood and delivered. After the rest of the small chat with her parents, I went home, and honestly was not much of a present on my dad's birthday. But everyone understood, as my parents gave a brief explanation. Frankly, I did not handle the evening all too well, but I allowed myself that much. Sometimes you need to let yourself handle things in a less good way if it works. Then come the next morning, and my girlfriend is fine. Mostly, at least. Most symptoms had left, and it turned out the doctor was right, because my girlfriend may have had most symptoms of a concussion. She did not have a headache, which was the vital clue to it not being a concussion. I came by in the morning, since I had to be near her house anyway, and she ended up carefully accompanying me to the city, like a 10-minute walk from her, for what I had to get. She was a little tired by the end, but it went fine. She took it easy the rest of the day, and it was nice seeing her doing a lot better so fast. It definitely did me a lot of good as well. On Sunday, she ended up coming over again for my dad's birthday, for family, where I ended up being more present than I was on Friday. And except for running half a shift on Monday instead of a full day, she was basically recovered. But I was not entirely. The thing with seeing our loved ones get hurt is that it is so much different from seeing ourselves get hurt. We get hurt, we heal, and life moves on. And they may do the same. When they get hurt, we do not. Then it becomes they get hurt, heal, and we linger, worrying it may happen again. Worrying they may not have healed fully. Thinking about what we could have done to prevent it, and of course thinking about everything we could do to ensure they are safe and well. The thing is, either way, life moves on, as hard as it is to see them get hurt. Real strength lays in knowing how to cope with that happening, and not letting it affect you too much. Strength I have not found yet, but I am working on doing so, one day at a time.